I worked out here in the shop all day. I thought I'd finally start getting this place cleaned up. Every time I do, something comes up. I had a project I wanted to do. So what I've been doing is, you can see this platform up here has my tooling for my lathe. And I made these so they just fit on there, and there's 6 of them. But I don't like it. I wanted it different. So what I did was, over here today, I got all my metal out that I had, you know, a lot of it, seed what I had, and I made it for under here. This rectangular square metal piece was off a treadmill. All of these pieces are strapping. This is strapping. I took this piece and put a piece of angle iron on back so that then I could weld these strapping, and over there at the end where the studs are, weld them on, so it's angled like this to set them right on and off. And I get my other one over here and put on. I have 6 holders. I want to get 2 more. Then up there I put a couple little holes for the things that take out the little screws in the tooling for my carbide cutters. So I got that done today. I worked on it and painted it up. Figured paint it blue matched the lathe. Then something else I made the other day over this way is, when you go to take these jaws off, you can hold it back here and get it off, but as it cuts, it tightens it on, and it's so hard to get off. And they have a special wrench for here. Well, I didn't have the regular wrench, and I had been using a tool I made, but it wasn't right, and it kept making this hole in here where you put your thing to hold it. It oblonged it a little bit, so I took a drill. I drilled down in there. Then I sacrificed the drill I took, and what I did was I ground the tip of it off so it's flatter, so it would go in that hole down in there better, get it down in further. And what I did was I took a heavy piece of strapping, made a cutout, and I have a 1/2 inch dowel, piece of metal dowel, and I hardened that when I was done. And I made it like that. So now, and I put a handle, I made it out of wood. It was a square piece of wood. I cut it in a lathe and then cut it in half and then glued half on both sides. And it goes in that hole and goes on like that. There. Then I always have this long piece of hex nut, one of these big long hex nuts, and I put a crescent wrench on it, and then I can break it loose real free. Putting it on, you don't need this, because I can hold it back here on a pulley and just snug it up, and then it'll tighten as it cuts. So I did that and got that done. Then one other thing I wanted was for my cooling system. I wanted, the little pump comes with a plug, and the plug, I'm sick of plugging it in and out. I want a switch I can just turn it on and off. So what I did was I found this at Ace Hardware. It's a switch you just plug into it, but you can see it's not, doesn't have a place for 3 prongs. It's just 2 prongs. It's for like a light or something. They want something light. They don't want you to put something heavy on this. So the wire that comes off of the pump is like this. It's round. It has the 3 prongs. So what I did was I definitely want the ground attached, because that goes down into water. I don't want to run it without a ground. So to get around that, I took an X-Acto knife and sliced this and opened it up. I took the green wire, which is a ground, and I put a pair of pliers right here and I jerked it out of there. Then I took this and jerked it out with a pair of pliers. I worked it back and forth and pulled it out. Then the wire would fit up in here in this little prong, and I could stick it in there and crimp it, put heat shrink on it. Now I can plug this into a switch and this into another one up here I'll show, where it goes in for the ground. Let me get the camera set up. I have a set of plugs down under here, under this board down below, but I put another one up here where I can get at it easy. And I'm going to put one of these on my light up here. But this is where I want my pump. I have it on and off, but I can only use the 2 prong. So there's what I did. you can see how I cut this open right here, real careful not to nick the wires. And I took the green one and jerked it out of there, and it come down clear from up in here. It come out. You pull it straight out. Then there's the piece that went in here. I just pulled it, twisted it and pulled it out, put them together and put heat shrink on it. So now I can plug this into my pump, but that ground hole right there, I can't get in it. So I just go to the next one up, plug it in, there it is. That's how to get around it, so it's still grounded and I can still use the switch. So that worked out good. Let me reset the camera and I'll show the other project I did. Back when I put the hole in here, the return line for my pump system, I had to drill a hole in here and I had to go clear down through here. Now I know they make extensions you put in your drill, then you put your drill bit in the other end. Well, I wanted to come up with something different. I thought, you know, if I ever come up against that again or need something like that, I had my 1/2 inch stock round bar out. So I took a piece, and what I did was I had this, somebody gave me this chuck here, and I cleaned it all up, went all over it. It was really pretty rusty. And it says even right on it, the threads in this end of it. I had this bar, I threaded it and put it in there and put a little Loctite on it. And it says right on it, it's 1/2 inch. It's a 1/2 by 20. So I have dies and that, so I turned it down, threaded it on there. So now I can put this right in my drill, and if I ever have to go do something like that again, I can go right down. I like this way because your drill bit's right in here. It's not on just on that long shaft. I think it's just better for it, as long as you can get this in where you're going. But I made my own extension, and that would have worked good to drill that down in there. One thing I wanted to show about the GoPro, I'm just holding my GoPro 5, and I have it on a tripod here, this piece I made under here, the wood part, to hold it. And you can see the skeleton case for the Hero 5. It's waterproof as long as you have the doors on. If you're not using the microphone, you know, you can put that little door on and it's waterproof. So they just have this skeleton set up. But here's the weakest link in this, is they have a piece of wire here that holds this. You put it in there, close the back, put this on it, and then it latches. Well, what happens, this breaks out right here on these sides. This wire goes from here up around, clear over, back. Well, mine broke. This lid wouldn't stay on. I said, you can buy the case, this thing, for about $14–15. I said, I can fix it. I took a little Q-tip and put just a little bit of WD-40 on it, and I wiped it on that metal so it doesn't stick to it. I put it in place and held it. I put a little bit of baking soda on there and put super glue on it. Then I went over on this side and did it. I did it back and forth and build it up. And then each time I would work this to make sure it isn't holding on to metal. And you can see it's there. And I close this and snap it down, good as new. So I fixed it. I don't buy nothing I have to. Everything, all these jobs I do, I get my metal out and get what I have, and I'll go and buy a few things, but I don't buy much. I just, you know, load up when I can. Oh, it's funny. Oh God, is it hot. Have a good day.